Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you found your way here. I hope you click like, subscribe, and share, and that you drop a comment in the comment section. But to be able to comment, you're going to have to click subscribe. Yes, 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 yes. So happy to see you here. And let's dive right into the topic at hand. And I made a prediction over on my Patreon, but also on this channel, where I clearly saw and I clearly felt that it would be someone else who would be holding that victory speech. But not all, it's January still has to come, so we'll see what happens until then. But still, it's very clear that this person now won, and by a landslide, by a huge margin. A lot of people I know are completely flabbergasted. We're absolutely stunned. We're mind blown, and it it says so much. But before I dive into what it actually says, I wanted to go through some of the reasons that came up as I was meditating on this, on why this timeline was chosen. And it was a choice, and this is a timeline that we are going down. And to add to that, a couple years ago, I don't know if you guys have heard of Ama or Mata Amritana Namai, and she is an Indian guru, if you will, and she's known as the Hugging Saint. And a lot of people just love her. That's her darshan, is to give hugs, is to literally just, have people come up and she gives them a hug. And through that, they experience the depth of their own energy without any filters, without any patternings, without anything, just the real raw substance of yourself. And it is mind-blowing. It is absolutely beautiful. And so, of course, people started thinking this is her, but she clarified at some point, or the people around her clarified at some point, that it's your own energy that you're feeling. So, and she also has astrologers that go along with her, and these are Vedic astrologers. So, obviously, for those of you that are not quite sure what Vedic astrology is, it is an Indian form of astrology, Eastern astrology, that works with the sidereal chart. So as the star systems are actually in our sky. So in any case, I had my chart done by this astrologer. It was amazing, but we also had a really deep conversation where she was saying that behind the scenes, I mean, in front of everyone, Amma was saying, love everybody, love each other, and, focusing on that message of love and keeping it hopeful and bright. But behind the scenes, to her students and to those that were living with her in her ashram, she was saying something completely different, that we had to buckle up and buckle in because times were going to get hard, because humanity had chosen a developmental path that would be challenging, to say the least. And according to Amma, we'd already chosen this path back in 1987 at the harmonic convergence. Around that time, the collective of humanity chose a timeline and a pathway to whatever you want to call it, awakening. I mean, it's such a loaded word now. Whatever you want to call it, to evolution, and had chosen the path of pain rather than flowing along with the path of joy. So fast forward to today, and we're at another crossroads, and this is one of the most important elections in American history. And the thing is that with American elections, unlike with other elections around the world, American elections affect the entire world. How America does its politics, their trades, they are one of the biggest markets in the world. Most countries will have some form of a connection to the US to ship their goods there. They have a tremendous impact culturally, economically, on almost every country on this planet. So who they vote for not only determines the life quality of the people that live in America, but also the people, or the United States, I should say, but also the people that live in other countries around this world as well. And so it's an incredibly important vote. And this morning when I woke up, I felt this silence in the air. It was incredibly quiet, but I also felt like this energy of deflation. There was an energy of shock. It wasn't of wow, rainbows and crystals and sparkles and all of that. And when I checked the news, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. And it's not that I'm for the other party, which I'm not. And it's not that I'm for this one, that one, which I'm also not, or for the candidates. But for what the choice represents in the evolutionary cycle of humanity, for what the choice represents, what we go for, what we choose, and why. And so let's go through some of the things that, put the party to the front, and some of the things the blue party, the Dems, got a little bit wrong, and why, why. So let me check the chat and see how you guys are doing. Hi, Ashley. Yes, yes. So I know that a lot of people are, the first thing right off the bat for most of us on the outside of the US is, before I get into the points that I have here, one of the things right off the bat is this, it's, how should I put this without being, it's unbelievable how we can only have two parties to vote from. It's like a football game, the blue team against the red team. It comes across as if it's a high school popularity contest, that it's not taken too deeply or too seriously, as if the energy is already out, as if people don't really think their votes count or matter, as if they don't think that what they're investing in emotionally, even, and getting all riled up about, is actually really going to have an effect. And so it's interesting because they vote on the popular candidate. They vote seemingly, like this culture of personality, rather than looking at actual representations of things. So that's one thing I want to get out there. Now, these are the topics that came to me that seem to be really what made a lot of people iffy and indecisive, downright, to being extremely decisive for Donald Trump. And the first one I want to put all the way at the top of the list is immigration. Immigration. I was just speaking to a lady who said that she was visiting a friend in some state near upstate New York, or some place in upstate New York, and she looked around, and all she saw, like, were tons of people, and this is a person of color as well. And so she said that all she saw were tons of people that looked like they came from South America, and they were wearing like the traditional clothing, the traditional garb. And so she, it was so obvious, and it stuck out like a sore thumb. And so she was speaking about this with her acquaintance that she was there with. And then she decided to start Googling and researching sanctuary cities and so on and so forth. And she said, it is kind of, you don't know where to place it. Like, it feels like it's not wrong, but it's kind of, it's like a jigsaw puzzle that just doesn't fit. And so this feeling of uncertainty, this feeling of something's not quite right, deep in the subconscious of people when it comes to integrating other people and what they're doing there. There's this innate kind of distrust, mistrust. And I want to say that they're pushing that agenda all over the world right now, because that same topic has come up, of course, all over Europe. You guys know. It's and now in Canada as well, where Canada has reformed their immigration policies. They're having some issues with India, so they're not giving out any visas anymore to Indian people. They've thrown out the Indian diplomatic team. Canadian diplomats have been thrown out of India as well. The issue behind that is apparently Indian Secret Service unalived two people of Indian descent, but of Canadian nationality, on Canadian soil without the knowledge of Canada, which is an absolute no-go. And yeah, so Canada has also reformed their student visa, and what that entails, and how easy it is to get, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of changes all over the world that are happening now to immigration policies, and it's on one hand, it's pushing people to the edge, but on the other hand, it's capturing those people at the edge and pulling them back in again. So it's really interesting to observe how this is going, because you can really see how people are being herded into a specific direction, and how this is happening all over the world at this time. So there's something behind the governments that we're investing in and voting for and, going for, that is actually putting the pieces together here. So I'd say immigration is definitely a ball that the Democrats dropped, because Kamala didn't really address that topic. She just left it out there and hoped for the best and hoped for common sense or something, I don't know, which, when you're dealing with a mob or a huge collection of people, you can't really do that. I mean, she should have read those books that were written years ago, like from Gustave Le Bon and The Crowd, and how they're managed and how emotional they get. And it's really base emotions that you need to trigger to rule a mob, to run a mob, to drive a mob in a certain direction. And this all played out in World War II, where a certain party in Germany utilized this information to harness their people. So it's well known, it's well documented. So the second point that I'd want to get into that people are really iffy about, identity politics, and especially transgender stuff. And the Democrat Party didn't really offer any safe spaces for people that weren't on a level with that weren't on the train ride with that, and pushing certain types of people in female sports and stuff like that. People weren't ready for that, and I it just also defied common sense. It defied all logic, and unfortunately, these parties are speaking the truth, and that's what we're talking about over here in Europe as well. Is that these really right parties are addressing problems that exist. They're really there, but their solutions their solutions are things we need to look more closely at, because a lot of them are very simplistic or not really tenable for the kind of future that we want to create together, right? So I feel like them driving the identity politics, they actually alienated so many people, and that threw everybody off. But this seems to be a bigger agenda than just the Democrat Party pushing that out there. There's something else going on, because those same politics that are happening in the US are again happening in other countries as well. So we have it over here in Germany. All countries right now, right? So it's really interesting where this is going. So I think those 2 points, immigration, identity politics, transgenderism, then political correctness, people are fed up with that to all get out. So they think it's cool when somebody steps up and kind of oversteps their boundaries, because they've been pushed into boundaries so long, so hard, so much, that when somebody just says it as it is, air quotes, then they think that's a strong man, that's a cool guy. Not necessarily, no. Then another thing they kind of dropped the ball on is the whole Corona thing, because people are still angry and upset at that. So they see an ally in Donald Trump, right? And they're really like those 4 years from 3 years, sorry, from 2020 to 2023, people are still digesting that. They're still getting over that. Some people were thrown into full-on mental health crisis. Like, it's not just something that, you just stop talking about and get over. Like, some people have now got health issues that they didn't have before. Some people have health concerns that they didn't have before on a level they didn't have before. Some people have all kinds of things happening that they didn't have before. So this is something that people are kind of still not quite over, and they're showing that in the vote. And they did that over here too, where they voted for people that were saying, whatever the world does has nothing to do with us, and we're going to do things our way, and we're no longer going to walk along with the world. And it's easy to say that, but it's funny because every single time that people have tried, because people have voted for like the Green Party in Germany, which before they were voted in, they were the rebels, you know, they were the Green Party. They were there for ecology and family and all of that. And once they got into office, all of a sudden they fell into line, just like everybody else. So there's something bigger behind the scenes that the collective needs to face, which they kind of don't want to. So we've got the identity politics, we've got immigration, we've got political correctness, which people are over. Next, the corona crisis, right? We've also got the inflation and that things are going up. Prices are going up. People are feeling the pinch. They're feeling the burn. They're feeling it. And they don't know. Every time people get into this kind of crisis, economic crisis, they always go conservative. Every single time, everywhere on this planet. So it's clear there's a direction that's being pushed from behind the scenes that's not organic and not natural. Then the cult of personality, I'd say, you know, with Trump, he's definitely made a character of himself. He's definitely made an image of himself that people are absolutely attached to. They feel like it's almost like they see him as their personal, you know, savior. Yeah. which brings us to a different topic, which I'm not going to touch on in this video, but it's like there's this over glamorification of this persona, and people fully buy into that. They fully buy into that. There's also seems to be this feeling of he earned his money, right? He earns his money through his failures, through people seeing his entire trajectory, him going up, him going down. They feel like he's the underdog. And they feel like, oh, wow, like he represents the values of America loves an underdog, right? So someone who keeps fighting for it. He's the Rocky Balboa in politics. And they feel like, wow, you know, like we've got to get behind him. We've got to support him. We've got to get him back up on his feet again. And he can do this. And there's this, I feel abuse of the goodwill of Americans, you know, that really want to help a serious underdog, that really want to put a serious underdog back on its feet again, that want to see that value of theirs, that hard work leads to good results, really manifested and represented. And it's interesting how that's completely taken advantage of and derailed. Really fascinating to observe from the outside. And I invite you guys to, if you can, read articles from other countries, like really Google a different country and Google an article on them, and just get an outside view of how someone with a distance, right, can how they see or observe that situation and what's going on there. So then these things, identity politics, transgender, immigration, political correctness, inflation, and expenses going up, taxes going up, corona crisis, people are still mad about that. The next thing that I feel that really worked against the Dems, and this is when I started getting a feeling that maybe that timeline we're not going to jump on just yet. And with a female president and all of that, which is, it's actually time. It's actually time that something shifts palpably in what we see as power, what we see as a way forward or a possibility. But I'll get into that in a second. But the next thing where I really felt like, oh, were two things: Melania and P. Diddy. P. Diddy. P. Diddy. When people saw that happen, and jaws dropped all across the world, and it became clear that everybody connected to P. Diddy must have known, must have been in on it in some way, shape, or form. And then as it dawned on people, the names that were connected to him, the people that were connected to him, and the entire network kind of shimmered out of the shadows. And that wasn't even the entire network. It was the assumed, because it's logical network shimmered up out of the shadows, and all these people started getting sucked into it. And then when the news came out that some people had paid money to not be named in connection with a case, it kind of, and a lot of those were blue people, right? Democrats. So people kind of dropped that hot potato. They wanted nothing to do with it, disgusted by it. And that connected to a whole other community that kind of felt left behind by the values of the Democrats, which was the Christian community. And I feel like that community in the US, but politicians, they don't underestimate it at all. And it's fascinating to see how many of them, or people that supported the Republican Party, became Christians during this campaign, right? So when we look at Russell Brand, who suddenly became baptized, he wasn't the only one. Candace became baptized too, and all these other people, they suddenly became Christians, and they suddenly started touting Christian values. And I don't think they did it just for political clout. I do believe that they clearly believe in what they're doing. But it's interesting how this wave came up that just took these people that are the grassroots, the earth and the grass and the trees of America. There is a fundamental Christianity in America, and it is definitely in the pocket of Donald Trump. So all these values, right? Again, political correctness, transgender, expenses, a lack of family connection or that feeling of family. This all ties into the fundamental Christian subconscious belief of what is right and wrong. And that's what I kind of do with my deprogrammings or workings with people, because we understand how we program ourselves, right? Through our experiences, through our trials and tribulations. We understand how our family programs us. We understand the programming of our surroundings to a certain extent. But when it comes to culture and when it comes to religious culture, it's really hard to see through that. It's really hard to see through that. So, but that's going to come up in the years to come. It's going to become a little bit more fundamental in the US, if not a lot. And it's, some people are going to see this as a good thing, but some people are going to be feeling like, oh my gosh, we're moving backwards, not forwards. I'd say we're moving sideways, but it's okay. So in any case, these things are coming up. Then the Melania thing, oh my goodness. That was such a political move. It was incredible when she stepped out and was suddenly pro women's rights. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, look, she's speaking up in spite of her husband. And nobody says, oh my gosh, they're using her to not only harness her female energy and her feminine energy in an ultra masculine campaign. It wasn't enough with JD Vance's wife, because JD Vance's wife didn't carry that level of feminine power, feminine energy that Melania does. And that's another thing, was that Kamala wasn't really up against Trump. She was up against Melania. And that's something more subtle, because when people want to see a feminine figure as a figurehead that they look up to, that they receive advice from and stuff like that, then they want more of a Melania than they did of a Kamala. And so it was never really Kamala and Trump, but I think that subtlety kind of went downhill. So all Melania had to do was step up and say, I'm pro women's rights. And nobody even asked the question, right? Oh, she wrote it in her book, I think, at some point, something like that. But it was really such a deeply powerful political move. And of course, again, harnessing feminine energy to drive the last bit home, right? They needed that feminine energy to make it happen. Without Melania, I don't think we would be looking at the same results. And so finally, everybody was like, it felt to me like the populace was like, oh my gosh, Melania's talking to me. She's talking to me, you guys. Oh my God, she said hello. This was like Marie Antoinette in Versailles greeting you in the morning breakfast or something. So it was incredible how nobody picked up on that, or willingly didn't pick up on that, willingly. Another topic is, of course, in the US, guns and the right to defend yourself. And even though, Kamala said a couple times that she has her own guns at home, she knows how to shoot, the image was already set. The image was already set, and there was no working around that. So I feel like, those topics as they come up, that's literally what broke the camel's back with the Democrats. They kind of left people behind. But the biggest thing as well that I don't feel, oh, it gets credit. It does get credit. But this belief that the Democrat Party is fundamentally evil and that they are supporting evil things based on the people that are the headliners for it, and the stories that circulate around these people. So people feeling that are now ultra Christian, that have these firm values, that they have no other choice in this battle of good and evil but to vote for that party that's going to uphold the good, even though that will be the lesser evil, even though they know that party is not the greatest, or the people that are representing it, but they feel like that's going to be the lesser evil, then voting for this ultra demonic party with all the stories that are going around about them and all the people they're connected to, P. Diddy, cough, cough, and Epstein, cough, cough, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, there's your vote, you guys. There's your vote. A very cerebral, logical thing, and easier to get than we all thought. So why am I still kind of disappointed about this? Why am I still because I felt that honestly, the information I was getting, and like I said, the information I was getting, the information that other people were getting, and everybody I spoke to, everybody I knew, everybody was like, we're voting for her. And she came through with such she stood up and tried not to throw her former boss under the bus, but tried to take over his, like, this is a very, somebody said in some interview, he was allowed to be lawless, but she had to be flawless. And I always felt that she got the dirt end of the stick. Like, it wasn't a truly fair campaign for her. And she's, there's something about her that people feel is almost a little soulless or vacuous, like vacant soul, vacant body kind of. So I don't think she had the time to build up a persona, a political persona that she feels 100% comfortable, 100% rock hard with. And of course, then people will say, well, that's not our problem, right? We need somebody who's able to do the job. And he's showing up and looking like he can do the job out of the options that we have. I don't know why the Americans still put up with this, and that this is force fed to them, and that they still play along with it. We all don't know. Because out of 380 million people, for context, I think Canada has like 33 million people, 30, not much more than that. I'll look it up, but it's around there, maybe 50 nowadays. I don't know, but it's around that. And they're all scattered all the way in the South, right? So 380 odd counted million people. And these are the two candidates you come up with, right? So why the American public still continues down that road, I don't know. Let's see here. Um, it's devastating because it's actually time. A lot of other countries have had female leadership, and for a multicultural country such as the US, not to have had anybody significant in leadership that wasn't white and male, that says a lot. It says a lot. It says a lot. Germany had a strong female leadership. England, oh my gosh. And that's another thing, is I do feel spiritually, as much as we like to criticize that family and criticize that house and all of that, I'm not a fan. Me saying all this doesn't mean I'm a fan or pro or, like, no. This whole entire matrix structure of the planet that we've created and that we perpetuate and that we want to push off onto aliens and push off onto demons, but we're the ones that come up with the laws. We're the ones that come up with the enforcement of those laws. We're the one that come up with this is right, this is wrong, and then we enforce that story because it's all stories, right? We continue enforcing that. But this family, the head of this family, I strongly feel had such an energetic impact in the grid of our consciousness that when she was removed, and yes, I am speaking about Queen Elizabeth, there's something feminine energetically that she held down, whether good, whether evil, it's out for debate, yes, whatever. But there's something energetically feminine. And I feel like during that period, there was a stronger female presence, especially in leadership and in politics. And now that this key energy holder has been pulled out of the field is it's masculinizing. Have you guys noticed? Like, have a look around the political scenarios in all the countries and how during that reign there was in Indonesia feminine energy, India feminine energy, Germany feminine energy, England feminine energy. Now we have in Mexico, I think Claudia Sheinbaum, that's pretty much it. So I don't know, but the US is long overdue for some kind of a shift in expression of current values, expression of lived expression of what the country wants to hold dear, what they want to represent. And I've seen and heard a lot of people that have now said that, wow, this really shows how much they hate women. They'd rather vote for someone who's absolutely unreliable and unstable than vote for a woman. And that kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, we all know that they're puppets. So whatever Kamala's would do or would represent, she's just the actor standing at the front, right? And the same thing with Trump. People like to believe that he's going to be king of the world, like he's going to do everything on his own, but that's not really true, is it? Now, what I also found interesting is that Rudolf Steiner kind of predicted this energy coming up and out of the American West. He said that Lucifer already rose out of the East, and then Christ energy came. Christ energy arose out of the Middle East or the middle portion of the earth. But in the future, his future, when he spoke all this, he said this in the early 1900s. And he spoke about technology, the rise of the machines, the rise of intelligent machines, the fusion of humans with machines. He spoke about all of this, but he also spoke about the spirit of Ahriman. And some of you guys know I did deep research into that. Like I already knew some things, but I really dove into it between 2020, 2023. And he spoke about this energy that would rise up out of the American West, and it's fundamentalist, it's fascist fundamentalism. That's basically, in a nutshell, what he was describing. And it's a very bureaucratic spirit, a very hardline spirit, very, very hardline. So we'll see what happens in January. And this election was really quiet, you guys. Like I was surprised. We'll see what happens in January, but I do feel like there's a little bit of hurting of the people going on. Honestly, I do. I completely feel that because there are too many similarities across the countries, and they need us in a certain mindset, and they need us in a certain conservative, stay at home, focus on your home issues, loyalty, allegiance to one country, stuff like that. They need us in this also riled up a mindset against other. For whatever plans they have going on at say 2030 onwards, they need us prepped and in that mindset because this is the same programming that is happening, not just in the United States, but in so many other countries around the world as well, which are radicalizing, going to the right, going fundamental. And people should know by now, on a personal level as well as on the collective level, you can't go backwards to solve your problems. You can't say, oh, in the past it was better. It's like the past is done. There's nothing we can do about that. It is done. And personally, I don't want to go back to to the past. The past wasn't so great for us. I don't want to go back to the past, right? Not for women, it was fantastic. Not for a lot of people, right? And the future, the only way is forward. And so we have to be willing to open ourselves up to new solutions to existing problems. We can't go to the old solutions and think, oh, this is going to work now because it worked in the past. It worked in the past for a reason because people were the way they were, but we are the way we are. And with these new problems or new nuance of the problems, we're also going to have to open up to new solutions. And that is growth. That is evolution. That is development. Let me check back the chat here. Don't want to see. Yeah. Yes, the change is upon us because no politician and no political party is going to fix your life. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, the more we try to um, label problems and find solutions for problems, the more bureaucratic everything gets. The more we put into the hands of government, the more they are not only going to regulate our lives on topics that we feel are, I mean, how many are really influenced by immigrants? Like, let's be honest here. And people are screaming they're taking our jobs. What jobs? The jobs you're not qualified for, or the jobs that you didn't want, like for the majority of them. So it's I don't know. I don't know why people are the way they are. I have no idea. I mean, I have many theories, I have many ideas, I've read a lot. You guys know this, but I do not know why people will choose fear over hope, choose restriction and limitation and oppression and suppression. There's a movie this kind of reminds me of, The Wave. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or seen it. Let me post a link to it in the chat, but you need to watch this because it's a social experiment, a human experiment, and how people will act under certain circumstances, specifically if people will cause another person pain if they feel legitimized to do so. And you guys can guess what the answer is. And one second here. Yes, the third wave was an experimental movement created by the high school history teacher Ron Jones in 1967 to explain how the German population could have accepted the actions of the regime during the rise of the Third Reich and the Second World War. So, yeah, it is Jones in 1967 to explain how the German population could have accepted the actions. Whoops, sorry, you guys. One second. There's the third wave. That's the experiment. And the movie was based on that. And yeah, so we'll see what happens in the future. I'm going to pull some cards now, how things are going to continue or how they're going to develop and what we can expect moving forward. But in all honesty, I am probably going to stay away from collective readings for a while because I don't feel there's anything or a lot of uplifting things that are to come. It's going to be crunch time over the next couple of years. And we're going to see, I feel like there are two major bumps that are coming, and 2025-ish, 2027, 2029 and 30 and 2032 and 33. And those are the kind of bumpy years that I see kind of ahead, but we'll see what happens. Is this election going to save America from its insane debt that it has? Is it going to save people from their medical stuff? Is it going to lower taxes in such a way that you actually feel it and it feels more liberating and light for you? Is it going to create more jobs? Is it going to create more BS and more obfuscation and more? So one of the things that I did feel as well, and I've spoken about this in other videos and chats, was that Trump had a major aha moment in his first term, right? So he went in there and he ran this race in his first term, the first time he got in, and it's almost like when I tapped into that energy and I felt, he didn't really know if he was going to win or not. He's just that guy. I mean, there's something very charismatic about that. He just goes in and see what happens, right? So people do find that super charismatic, right? There is a courageous side to him, clearly. So he kind of went in with that. Like it's not that he wasn't expecting it because he thinks that he's the best, of course, and he didn't go in there to lose. So there was a reasonable chance for him to win the first time around. But when he actually won, he was like, oh. And so I feel like, but there's very clear, and I saw that clear as day, him sitting in the Oval Office and having a moment where everything just slammed into him and everything just hit home. There was some kind of a moment where he felt, I don't know, destiny, God. I don't know, but it shook him to his core. And I always think, like, I don't underestimate him, And I do believe that he is a believer. Like, he has some form of belief or some form of his standards or his morals that he adheres to and goes by in his belief. But there was a moment where it could be an angel that showed up in front of his desk. Like, this is that energy. And it's kind of like the same energy I felt around Doreen Virtue when she completely changed her track and changed her timeline, changed her trajectory. And this was something that was so deep that it's hard to put into words, and it changed him. And I feel that's when he started to really feel like he could put the world to rights. Like he's going to make the most of that experience and do the best that he could. But things are complicated, right? Life is complicated. Politics are complicated. The stuff he had to go through are complicated. So I don't feel he felt like he quite lived up to that. I don't think that he felt he was able to really complete the job the way he wanted to. And I feel he craved a second chance. But there's another side to him as well that just loves the attention, loves the limelight, loves the adoration, thinks he's God's gift to humanity. And even though he was meant to work, and I will stand by that, I will stick by that, even though he was meant to work in a different capacity at this time, he couldn't let go of that heady rush of power. He couldn't let go of going for it one more time. And here we are. So I don't know. I don't know if he's still working for the light because we have options all the time. And there are some moments in his trajectory where I notice something else shimmering through. There's this moment, and I'm sure Candace would see things differently or articulate things different. I don't know, but there was an interview that he was hosting with her, and you could see her disappointment in him because she was asking him all these questions that I'm sure behind the scenes he was very direct about and very straight about. But in this interview with her, and it was specifically about the events between 2020 and 2023 and the things we should have done and things we didn't do and so on and so forth. And he left her hanging completely hanging out to dry. And I could see her disappointment. I could feel her thinking, this is the moment for you to speak the truth and say what you really think, say what you really feel. And he didn't. And he had his reasons, I'm sure, but it was a moment where something, I don't know. It just showed me something. Okay, let's dive into let's see here. Let's dive into the cards. And I'm going to work with this old trusty Visconti Sforza tarot. And this is a replica of one of the first editions of the tarot, according to Italian leather gold stamped plates. So, what's up for the USA? Yes, Elon. There is another character. Wow. There's so much to be said around the people from Peter Thiel through Elon Musk, through all of that that's surrounding him, and the other agendas that are flowing in the background there. And yeah. Anyways, so let's have a look. What is this election really about? And spiritually, where is it going to bring us? So two cards fell out, and I'm going to take those as what is this election really about? Yeah. There's still a lot of secrecy going on here. There's still a lot of secrets that are not being spoken about, because the first thing that came up is the high priestess. Okay. So the high priestess also has to do with feminine energy. And I'm feeling like this is such a statement on the feminine energy that keeps trying to rise in this world, that keeps trying to come up in this world and keeps getting smushed down, keeps getting smushed down. And it reminds me of this Spirit Science. I don't know if you guys know the channel Spirit Science. Some of you, I'm sure, do, but it's this cute cartoon channel which really makes complex spiritual concepts really easily understandable through cartoons. So go check it out. But they also did a video on the history of the world, right? The unwritten history of the world, the unofficial history of the world. And part of that, they were saying that way back when in Lemuria, Atlantean times, that humanity had the consciousness of a 14-year-old girl, roughly, and that humanity inherently is feminine. It's the feminine energy is all of us, humanity. But a different energy came in from outer and brought the masculine element with it. Go check it out. Too much to get into here. I'd go way off track. But this is what I'm feeling, is this feminine energy is being silenced again. The high priestess is silent, right? This is also, it's not yet written. There's something that is, maybe we're rushing into things, maybe let's wait until January and see what happens, right? Actually happens. Until then, maybe we're rushing into things, but there are also secrets, because she's got the book closed. Okay. There's still stuff that hasn't come out, that isn't being spoken about, isn't being said. The wheel of fate is turning. This is the wheel of fortune. Okay. The wheel of fortune is turning. So people do feel like this is destiny. This is a time of an intense time, an interesting time, an intense time, a time of, yeah, you guys know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, so what's going on here? What's going on? How does Trump feel right now? How does everyone see him? How does he see himself? How do only others close to him see him at this moment? And how does spirit see Trump at this moment? I feel like all of a sudden, ooh, Oh my goodness. This feminine energy keeps coming up. So we had the high priestess before in her quiet energy. Okay. Now, this time, the empress shows up. This is the feminine energy. The empress shows up with the king of cups. Okay. And, or the page of cups. I'm sorry, page of cups. What a difference. Page of cups. The king of cups is facing us, not from the side. He's sitting as well, but facing us. So in any case, he's showing up with the page of cups, and it almost feels as if there's an offer that is going to be made. There's some kind of a visitation that is going to be made, an offer that is going to be made. And since I'm focusing in on Trump, there's something coming from the spirit world to him. Um, there's another, they might, it, this is difficult, you guys. It's difficult to say on cam for some reason. If you were guys were here with me in person, it would be a lot easier. But there's some kind of offer that I feel is coming from the spirit world. There's some kind of an offer that is coming in from the feminine, especially the feminine energy of the world. Um, or not even offer, it's more of a request. It's a petition. That's the word I'm looking for, a petition. So, yeah, how do others see him? The Nine of Pentacles. They do see him as successful. So this is about how others in his team see him. But they see him as a lone person. You guys know that the Nine of Pentacles is all about you congratulating yourself. So they see him as taking the accolades, taking the shine, the energy, him congratulating himself. But there's also an element of money in this. There's something to do with money, but there's a loneliness in the Nine of Coins that I'm feeling very strongly. There's a distance between him and his team. Okay. Then how does he see himself? Four of Cups. He's exhausted, exhausted to the bone. And it feels like he feels like this time I took on too much. And there's something that he's not quite. You know, this card actually has to do with rejection. It has to do with feeling like, ugh, I don't even want it. It's like he fought for it, and once he got it, he didn't want it anymore. There's this element of him feeling like, I can't do this. I keep picking up on his health, and I know nobody talks about this, and why should they? But it popped up for me around the first attempt on his life, and something about his health, and that, you know, all this is starting to get to him, the court, the battles, the campaigning. I mean, he's 78 or however old he is, right? So this is, yeah, so people are feeling him isolating. He's going to go through a short period of just probably going to rest for 2 days or whatever, but he's withdrawing emotionally from his team. How only others see him is the Three of Cups. Okay. So even though he's Four of Cups on the inside, exhausted, done, done. On the outside, he's putting on his same jovial expression. Now, the most interesting card is how Spirit sees him. And this is wild, you guys, wild. Rejuvenation. Okay. Reawakening, rejuvenation. This is the Judgment card. These are the angels calling him back for a second term. This is wild. So the spirit cards on him are the Empress, the Page of Cups, and the Judgment. Wild, 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 wild. Let me check back here in the chat. Let's see Kamala. What's Kamala doing right now? Kamala. Oh, What's going on here? How does her team see her? How does she see herself? Only others, spirit, the overall energy that she's. Ooh, she's on a warpath. Oh my gosh, words are flying. We've got the Knight of Swords. So words are flying. There's a lot of arguing, bickering. Um, we should have done this, should have done that. She feels like a loser. She does. Five of Coins. So she feels humbled, humiliated, because it's such a clear and clean win. Like you can't deny it. You can't argue it. You can't say he stole votes. So she feels completely humiliated and she's actually contemplating, oy, yeah. This has triggered some kind of a trauma in her. And I hope she gets because this is the moon, which is deep anxiety and fear states. And we've also got the Four of Coins, like the crumbling of her basis, the crumbling of the shattering of her paradigm. This is not good. Um, People saw her as too inexperienced. This is the Page of Wands. So this is not the King of Wands. The King of Wands is the Pied Piper, can lead anyone anywhere. The Knight of Wands is the one who generates that energy or the desire or the willpower to make shifts happen and make moves happen. But the Page of Wands is just the messenger, just the messenger. And so she kind of showed up and she wasn't there yet. She wasn't strong enough. It's not that she wasn't prepared or didn't have the backing, but her essence wasn't fully present in this thing. There's an aspect of her that was very too not confident enough and too engaged with her own self, with her own image, with her own self. And there was this energy, not spoken, but this energy of doubt that came through with her, where you could feel the doubt around her or in her, which Trump didn't have. Like Trump doesn't have, clearly he's Trump, right? Doesn't have doubt, but she did. And of course, this is a natural doubt. It's a human doubt. It's a normal doubt. It's a healthy doubt of a healthy mind. But up against someone who's absolutely convinced he is the rising sun, she came across as too insecure. And so the Page of Wands energy shows up here. She sees herself as, yeah, a failure. Oh my gosh. She's really attacking herself. Seven of Coins. And even though, like on the outside, she might be saying the right words and telling people, oh, well, it was a good run. We did a good fight. You guys worked hard, so on and so forth. It's crumbling her. It is literally crushing her. It is crumbling her. And then to have to do the speech um, of concession. So how only others see her is the King of Wands. They see her potential. Or King of Pentacles. They see her. Wait, this is her husband. Sorry, her husband is carrying her. All of a sudden, I saw this flash, and her husband is really carrying her, is holding her, or someone who has got this strong earthy energy. It might be Waltz as well, who's talking power back into her, who's talking goodness back into her. But I feel it's her husband, because all of a sudden there was this flash of someone who's really holding her and holding her together, who's being her rock, who's being that solid foundation that she needs. And this is the King of Pentacles here. So how Spirit sees her is really interesting. This is time, in time, in the right time, in the right timing, in time. Give it time. Time will tell. This is the energy of time. This is the balance card, the temperance card. So something is still going to be revealed in time. In time. Phew. This was a heavy energy. This was really like Trump was exhausted energy, like bone tired, bone exhausted, fed up, done. But she is crumbling like in the core essence of her being, and that's not good. Okay. She did a great job for the time she had. She did. She did. That must be standing in front of the American public and people is daunting. I don't know how. Hmm. So how will this continue? How will this continue? What can we look forward to? What can we look forward to? What can we look forward to? So for the first while, it's going to be relatively quiet. We've got the Four of Swords and the Knight of Coins. Things are going to chug along as normal. And for the first while, don't expect like huge, massive changes. There will be talk and discussions around the economy, how to drive the economy forward again, how do you get the American economy going, focusing on money, that the common people get some kind of, relief, but nothing's really going to be done. It's the Four of Swords. Nothing happens. You guys know this. You know your tarot cards. So yeah, it's just going to chug along here. So, but what's going to, yeah, Seven of Coins. Things might take a dip because until he gets back in the saddle and gets things rolling again, because there are certain countries like Germany reports are already coming up. Okay, we're just going to have to distance ourselves from Big Brother US kind of thing, like, no, we're not going to work with him. So he's going to have some difficulties getting back in the same position that he was in the beginning in 2016, because back then everybody was kind of amused that he won. They were excited to see how is he going to work? How is he going to do things? But now everybody knows how he works. Now everybody knows how he does things. Now everybody knows what he's about. And most of the world out there is kind of like meh, so So he's going to find it a little, with the Seven of Coins here, the energy is going to be a little bit heavy moving forward, just a tiny bit, kind of. And there's a lot on his plate again, right? So I don't see the first couple months here major shifts or changes or things happening, or his rallies will, like, his rally cries will continue to happen, but people are going to have to be patient with the things that he wants to implement or bring or make happen. A high level of secrecy again. Okay, so there's something. Okay, so here we have the spies and the Page of Swords. High level of secrecy again. Information gathering. I'll get back to that. I have to draw a second clarifying card because there's something that's coming up for me here. Three of Cups. So the first one while will be celebrations or celebratory. He'll show himself as being the happy victor kind of thing, like I've been vindicated, I've been, so on and so forth. And he's going to start talking about money. Here we have the 10 of Coins. And that's another thing, like I said before, like people like to see this kind of in the US, because he comes across as being very wealthy, but not snobby. He comes across as being snooty, but snooty is not snobby, right? Whereas the Obamas and the other ones, they seem wealthy, but they have this unattainable wealth kind of aura about them, which I feel distances them from people. It keeps them close to a certain level of people, but for the common blue collar worker, they feel, I think from my observation, that they have more connection with Trump than they do with them. Or let's put it this way, Trump wouldn't make them feel like an outsider. They think Trump wouldn't make them feel like an outsider, but they think they would feel like an outsider sitting in a cigar room with Obama or something like that. It just wouldn't vibe. So he's going to continue on that energy line, and trying to show himself a little bit hokey, like with the Three of Cups. And then we get into the Six of Cups, retro talk. Okay, retro talk, going backwards. But also, he's going to heal the soul of America, or whatever he promised, he's going to focus in on that, right? He's going to focus in on that. So coming up, the next while, it's going to be fairly quiet the next couple months. Things are just going to go ahead as they always gone. He's going to be a little bit hokey. There are going to be memes, there are going to be things going around, same old, same old, same old. But I don't feel him sitting as easily in the saddle as he did in the beginning, where that was the element of surprise, but now there is no surprise in that sense. And the 10 of coins, 6 of cups, it just feels as if he's going to be focusing on the economy, focusing on his family as well. That's another thing. His family includes people that he feels are close to him, but are not necessarily blood relatives. So there's something about that, getting people into secure positions, helping people that helped him. So one hand shakes the other. There's going to be a lot of financial money things, but there may be secrets around this, things that are not openly spoken about, talked about, that are going on behind the scenes. Okay. So yeah, I'd say that's about the first year. So we'll be talking a lot of economy, but we'll see what actually shifts. Yeah. Let's see how the American people are going to do. Collective. The American people. How are you guys doing out there? Where are you from? You guys that are watching. What countries are you watching from? Let's see here. The American people. Now, the American people, that's very generally spoken here. Oh, a lot of people are devastated. So this is literally that's the energy I was feeling. Yay from London. Yay, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, North Carolina. I love LA. Well, parts of LA, let's put it that way. There are other parts that are okay. Yeah, so for the American people, what came up is the 10 of Swords. Yeah. And this is everybody's hurt. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's disappointed. Disappointed in their own topics in their own way. So this is not just the disappointment around the election. Like some people, of course, are very disappointed, clearly. Other people are super happy. But just generally speaking about the state of things, the state of the world, the state of humanity, there's not a lot of hope left. Actually, with the 10 of Swords, there's no hope left. There's a certainty, an absolute certainty and an absolute no going backness energy with the 10 of Swords. It's done. And so this is the energy that people are moving into, is this, it's doneness and there's no coming back. There's a despair, a certain level of sadness, a feeling of loss. That's another thing I'm picking up on. And it feels like this is what people are moving out of. This is their message. And the 8 of Wands. Ugh. They're also waiting for more information, more messages. They're waiting to hear more. Mm. And it's almost a message to life, because here's the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. And the underlying card underneath these 3 cards, I have it in a teep shape, is the Death card. So death is, of course, transformation and change. And you guys have seen all the videos probably on the US's Pluto return and so on and so forth, because this is Scorpio, Pluto, death, change, transformation. This is a message of a lack of hope, right? A lack of hope, a lack of, yeah, faith in life itself. Okay. It's so sad because America was the last bastion of I mean, it wasn't a true democracy, but it was a perceived one, the land of the free and the brave and all of that. And yeah, this is the planet we're on. This is the planet we're on, out in the middle of some arm of a spiral galaxy in the middle of God knows where. We know we're a local universe, but that's it. We don't know where we are in relation to all that is. We have no clue. Isn't that wild? And here we are sitting on this rock out in the middle of nowhere with no one to talk to except for ourselves. And this is the story we tell each other at good night. Horror stories. Wild, wild. The things that we create, the countries, the borders, the divisions, the hatred, all of it, wild. Yeah, you guys, I don't know what to say. That's it. And like I said before, I think I'll, moving forward, I might step back a little bit from collective reads, because those of you that have had sessions with me or are having sessions with me, a couple of you I'm able to speak with and say, I don't even know if I can reveal everything, because it's not going to be easy. And I think we all feel it in our guts. We know that something's headed our way, and we're starting to brace. I don't know. Did you guys catch on to the floods that are happening in Eastern Europe, and hearing about the floods, especially in Spain? Spain and Valencia flooded literally overnight, and it was horrible. Barcelona flooded as well. And the king and queen of Spain were walking through Valencia and got pelted with mud. They were throwing mud at them. And the queen, apparently, she was so devastated, she was crying. And yes, they are representative figures, right? But still, it's things are, the earth is changing whether we want it or not. And so going backwards with people that are ignoring those changes, I don't know how well that's going to work out. So we'll see. Okay. We realized that women are not supported as much as we thought, and we witnessed tons of hate against Kamala the whole time. Yes. 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 And as I have to keep repeating, because people jump in and out, it's not that I'm for one side or against the other side or anything like that. It's for what they kind of represent, sort of, right? And Kamala would have been the first female president. She would have, but yeah, yeah. What did Kamala do wrong? Even though it was such a tricky position for her to jump in the middle of a campaign. And the funny thing is that people that have, it wasn't just my prediction, these are people that have been reading charts forever. These are people that have been following all kinds of evolutions and happenings in humanity, and it was or is her time. There is something that is seriously, it's not that I don't accept it, because clearly this is reality, but there's something, or the reality that we've chosen. There's something that just doesn't, I don't know. I don't know. But yes, there's definitely, it's made clear how much the feminine is absolutely despised. Yeah, despised. Here we are in 2025, 2025, with all the knowledge that we have, and we're still fighting for women to be able to speak in certain countries where their speech is taken away from them. And I spoke about that in one of the videos that I did way back. I don't remember which one, unfortunately, but one of them, it did come through that, as we see the feminine getting stronger and gaining more in power, that we're also going to see the attacks on it intensifying and getting really hardcore. And here we are hearing about countries like Afghanistan, where women are forbidden to speak in public. They're forbidden to sing, to the point that they can't even sing in their own homes because no man walking by the house should hear a woman that's inside a house. And the women started singing and posting their videos on TikTok and all over the place. And so they cracked down on it even more and say that women can't even speak. Their voices shouldn't be heard by other women. That is wild, wild, wild. We're not as far as we think we are. We're not as far as we think we are because we still haven't changed our societies. And for those people that think, if I stay quiet, then I'm doing the right thing because the wise person is silent, then you've really been hijacked, right? That's exactly how they keep everybody quiet and taking it, But we're at a point in humanity where we can't just sing a song and hope it goes away or hope others grow out of it. It's have to be careful now moving forward, right? With what I say. But no, it's still such a long way to go for women. Such a long way to go. And it doesn't matter because in each culture there's some kind of an apparatus that keeps women held back, whether we're looking at the how women are raised in European cultures, through how colored women are treated, through elderly women, through all of that. There's so much work to be done. And this really, really, really shows where the mindset of humanity or the people are and it's we want a woman like Melania, right? Who never says anything, who only steps up and says something when it supports her husband, right? Who's the trophy image. I mean, seriously? Like, when are we going to evolve past that? When are we allowed to have a voice, live a life, have interests, be intelligent? And people are going to say, well, you're allowed all that. Like, what are you talking about, Karleen? But this is kind of what I'm talking about. This is kind of what I'm talking about because if we listed Kamala's abilities, like without her name and just the abilities and just the grace, the tenacity, the sense of humor, the ability to connect with everyone, all of what she displayed over the last couple of months, if we just listed all those attributes without her name and without her gender, and we listed all of the other one's attributes without name, without gender, it would be so clear. But the minute we have a gender to it and a look, it's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. But that's how people are trained. That's how we're trained. That's how we're programmed, to only focus on appearances, only focus on what you see, only focus on those kind of things. And yeah, not look any deeper. And of course, we're thinking, we're hoping, or some people are hoping, this party or this person, this cult of personality person is going to clean up all the evil in the world. Like, anyways, let's move on. Let's move on. But the superhero wishful thinking, you're the hero of your own life. You are the hero of your own life. You're the hero you've been waiting for. And all of us together being heroes in our own lives for our own selves, we shift things together, right? We shift things together. But back to what I was trying to say before, and then I got sidetracked, was that, saying that you're spiritual, but not wanting to dive into politics. Marianne Williamson, who also was running and ran back then against Trump as well. And of course, she wasn't taken seriously because she's a spiritual teacher, right? So, but she did it to make a point. She knew she wasn't going to be taken seriously, but she did it to make a point. And her point was you cannot divide your spirituality from your life. And whatever is in your life, whatever influences your life, whatever affects your life, this is where your spirituality is also going to influence and has to affect. Because spirituality is not just a light that you turn on and off. Oh, I'm spiritual when I go to church on Sundays, but when I go to work on Monday, then I'm not spiritual anymore. It's spirituality is everything. It's your entire life. It's everything you do, everything you connect with, everything, all of that. So all your beliefs should be flowing in politics. What is politics? A lot of people nowadays say, oh, I don't get into politics. I don't vote. I don't let myself get emotional and so on and so forth around politics. The not emotional is very good. But politics is how we organize our societies, how we organize our families, how we organize our communities, how we divide power, right? And I feel like that's the bigger underlying theme is people are afraid of power. They're afraid of their own power in their own lives, let alone acknowledging the power that they have over other people's lives and the responsibility that they carry through that. But politics and spirituality has to come together, but not in a fundamentalist way. And that's what we're also afraid of, right? But because we're afraid of that and we don't want to touch it in a freedom and a liberating way, it becomes fundamentalist. It goes to the hands of those who will and who do. So it's time for us to realize that we can't divide our spirituality from the life that we live here. We're meant to make this life spiritual. We're meant to come in here and spiritualize it, bring spirit into this place, bring spirit into this world, into this life, make it manifest here. Okay. So what can I give you guys as a closing parting gift? What do you guys want to know? What's the question I should look up in the cards? We can influence him through prayer of intention of doing the greater good for all. Yes, yes, yes. Well, maybe not influence him directly, but the timeline, the general, flow of things. I'm very hesitant to move into influencing other people. When you learn remote influencing, and you guys can look it up, remote influencing, it's a thing. It comes after remote viewing. Usually people learn that after remote viewing. Yeah, you can, but do we want to? We have to let him live his karma. We have to let him live his cycle. And but maybe prayers for the timeline, for the collective consciousness to evolve, to be able to choose something more humane. Will Trump do any good for America? Will Trump do any good for America? Will Trump do any good for America? Uh, we've got the Queen of Coins here. And immediately when I touched this card, I felt this feminine energy that I keep telling you guys about. I keep stumbling over when I'm looking into things and what's behind all of this, all of this, all of this. And there's definitely a feminine energy here, but we have the Queen of Coins. And she represents home territory, or can represent home territory, right? And so I feel like that's what his focus is going to be on, the home territory. We've got the Three of Cups. There's a lot of celebration of self, but and the Three of Cups is a lot of talk. It's not a lot of action. It's hanging out Friday night at the pub and shooting stuff. But when Monday comes around, y'all wake up and you come out of this buzz. And so the Three of Cups is kind of that Friday night buzz and energy, socializing, hobnobbing, networking, doing all of that. So he might dive into that at first, talk about deals and agreements and his friends and people that he knows here and there and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to it, the last card is the Knight of Coins. And the Knight of Coins is very slow moving, you guys. It's stuck energy, it's thick energy, it's something that values traditions. It's not about change, it's not about pivoting, it's not nimble, it's not flexible, it's not none of that. It's very stuck energy. So I don't see him. He might stabilize things for people so at least they don't get worse, but that they're radically getting better. No. What is the purpose of this for the collective? Karleen, maybe Kamala was not the right feminine energy for the change. Yeah, yes, Evie, you might be absolutely right. I'll check into that. Absolutely right. She may not have been the right feminine energy for the change. Maybe not. And the thing is, I always felt, and I think a lot of people felt the same way, but without diving into he, she, or whatever, but I feel like there was a window, a moment for Michelle Obama, and she did not step into it. For whatever reason, she did not step into it, but there was a moment for Michelle Obama, and she didn't take it. What is the purpose of this for the collective? What is the collective meant to pull out of this, please? Out of this experience? What is the purpose of this situation? And here we have the feminine energy again. You guys are seeing in this reading, the feminine energy is coming up very strong. This is the Queen of Coins. And it's coming up again. This is about home territory, land. Here we have the laws and the rule maker and the structure bringer of the emperor, which is the second one. And we've got leadership. So it's learning about what constitutes home. It's learning about how to take care and provide for that home. It's learning about governmental structures. It's learning about structuring the organizational aspects of caring and supporting and providing for that home, the rules that govern the land, so to speak. And it's literally learning this collective of taking charge and control. So all of a sudden, as I'm looking into this, I got a flash image of like a child, but not a child, like let's say a 10-year-old, 11-year-old. So not like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, right? And them learning how to, for example, help the teacher take charge of the classroom while the teacher is away, right? If that makes any sense. So it's like this kid is learning how to organize and structure things, what energies are needed where, when to do what where, and what home is even is, what that constitutes. So there's an aspect of leadership and how we contribute to leadership, how we build leadership, how we manifest leadership, how we create leadership that is being taught here. Okay. Yeah. So was Kamala the right energy, the right feminine energy for the change? Was Kamala the right feminine energy for the change? Was Kamala the right feminine energy for the change? And you're onto something, Yessie, because the cards that came out are the first card that came out is the Three of Swords, so this would indicate a no. Okay. There is a Queen of Swords. Okay. Mm, ooh, oh my goodness. You guys are not gonna like this one. You're not gonna like this one. But of all the feminine figures that represent the Queen of Swords, who also has blonde hair, which one is it on the American stage that would fit the bill? The Queen of Swords represents an elderly woman usually, and someone who's very discerning, analytical, who's very politically witty, whose words are sharp and straight to the point, who's a battle worthy, who's battle hardened. This is a woman who's been through several battles in her life, who's seen things come and go. So we've got the Three of Swords, the disappointment, and the no card when it comes to Kamala being the right energy for the change, for the feminine to make an entrance, to do all that. And the outcome we have here is this would have led to prosperity for the US. Okay. This woman would have led the US to an almost impenetrable stronghold. This is the 10 of coins. This would have been a legacy. This timeline where she is, even though we all thought that would be the most horrible thing ever, but she would have led to solidity for North America, for the United States. Yeah. Kamala is a Libra. Okay. That could be, but we still have the Three of Swords here, which is disappointment. Let's see. Maybe there is a feminine energy hiding behind Trump. Yeah, let's look. Are the men tapping into their divine feminine? I've seen a lot of that lately, but just figured it was my purview. Yeah. Yeah, let me look into that. And then there is there going to be a proper economic crisis as a result of him taking the presidency? And will he deliver on his promises of contributing towards world peace? Okay, so let's see about the men tapping into their divine feminine. The thing is that he also represents a kind of a bro culture, so a lot of bros are down for that. And it's very hyper macho, hyper masculinized, women have their place, and people they're after the chaos and the uncertainty of the other world view and the other world model. They kind of like that, where men can be men. And not to mock that, because men have gotten a hard knock to the last couple of years. So and yeah, it's a tricky world that we live in right now. So are men tapping into the divine feminine? Is the divine feminine being represented through men? The first card that came up is the Hanged Man, so I'd take that as a not really. The second card is the Page of Swords, and so they're learning. The Page of Swords is also ambiguous. Like it's an adaptable type of energy, and it's a predominantly a learning energy, a young energy, a learning energy, but it's a learning. The Page of Swords, you have to be careful because it can be learning for own self-gain. The Page of Coins learns for everybody and everything, and to learn for learning's sake. The Page of Wands learns to relay a message, to pass it on. The Page of Cups learns in order to reflect and go, aha, now I see. But the Page of Swords is very tricky. They can be mischievous. They can use it for their personal gain, but they can use it to instigate or deceive. They can use information in many different ways. So there's some kind of a self-interested utilization that is happening. A no, but there's a learning in the rethinking, in the restructuring of thought from the masculine towards the feminine. But there's underneath fundamentally a thought for personal gain. What do I get out of this? How can I gain from this? How can I utilize this? How can I use this for my own benefit? That is underneath. But the feminine will come out victorious. This is the world card. It is the world herself is a feminine energy. We can feel this, we know this. It's kind of understood the world over without much explanation. And she is coming out and through, like it is erupting, it is coming up and out. But again, these cycles are so long. They're so much longer than a human life, and it all contributes to it. We're all a part of this plant that is growing up and out. But as to the question, are the men tapping into their divine feminine? They're learning. It's like an emulation of what the feminine energy is. Learning by doing, possibly, but unfortunately, all the way at the bottom of the intention to understand, to learn, is the desire for personal gain. And this is spoken generally and collectively. I'm not going to say every man is just out to, use women. Like, that's not quite true, is it? But collectively, on the collective energy scale, this seems to be what's going on at this moment when it comes to a political view, when it comes to a collective view of how the masculine is engaging with feminine energies. Okay. Is there going to be a proper economic crisis as a result of him taking the presidency? Will he deliver on his promises? Let's have a look at BRICS, okay, and how BRICS is going to evolve as a result of this. BRICS and Trump and economic crisis. What's happening here? So BRICS, they're solidifying. They're absolutely, ooh. They might even make him an offer. They might even make an offer. Here we have the Six of Cups. Okay, so they're solidifying. There's a really good working together here. We've got the emperor between these countries and their new economic organization. And the outcome here is the Page of Cups again, right? So there's this feeling of there's an offer coming in. There's some kind of an offer. They're just going to sit back, relax, reflect, watch what he does. They're going to wait for him to make a move. I don't see this influencing BRICS or changing their trajectory in any which way. It also feels like somebody from behind the scenes, whether it be Russia or China, I'm feeling China because as I look at this, I see the dragon. I don't know, the dragon just popped up out of here. And they might make some kind of an offer. There might be some kind of a coming together, working together, focusing on mutual interests more than on mutual disinterests or separations. When it comes to how he's going to help the American economy, again, there are going to be some drafts, but the energy there is it's going to take him a lot of energy because America is like the Titanic, like it's massive, and you can't just pivot. They can't just be nimble and dance around things. That's not how the American system is built. So it's going to take him massive energy, but the will or the thought is there. I wouldn't even say the desire. The thought is there. Ace of Swords. He has no energy for desires right now. So the thought is there. He's waiting for the inspiration or already received an inspiration, waiting for the right time or the right way about going about things or ideas. But here we have the King of Coins, which is sitting on things. The King of Coins is a king who sits on his wealth. And the King of Coins doesn't really, he's focused on home. He's focused on home economy, but he's not going to make some massive changes in the beginning. Like, he doesn't want to throw everything overboard, so he's back to the drawing board here with the Magician, drafting and drafting and drafting and speaking with the Ace of Swords, communicating, but in end effect, he's, like I said, he's not going to make things worse. It's more of a maintaining energy. But initially, he's not going to make things much better. It's just more of the same, more of the same. Will you go back to Democrats? Will Americans go back to Democrats in 4 years? I almost feel like people are might treat in 4 years if Kamala survives this psychologically, emotionally, mentally, which Hillary didn't, by the way. Hillary didn't, right? She went up against Trump and then she completely dropped out and almost, like we didn't hear much from her after. And it was clear that she was going through some health issues while she was going up against him, which I find really interesting because I think Hillary was the first one where I noticed, wow, they're having massive health issues. If we go back through time, everybody seemed relatively fit and healthy, but there's something going on. All of a sudden, I felt it like energetically. I don't know if they're being energetically targeted. I don't know what's going on, but um, Obama, after he got into office, we could tell how much he aged over time. Like it was so rapid, his aging. And then Hillary and her situation, and then Biden and all of it. So there's something I want to look in deeper now that I felt it there, but there's something up. So I hope that Kamala, for her sake, gets through this and everything's okay. So it could happen that in 4 years, people treat her like a missed opportunity, you know. So let's see. I don't see Kamala now anymore. Wait, I'm gonna be quiet on that. I'll wait until January and then I'll say it. But are they going to go Democrat in 4 years? Mm. At this moment in time, it's looking like a kind of a no, okay? At this moment, but this is a momentary snapshot. Things change, but we've got the Six of Cups, which is always has this nostalgic energy. It looks to the past, it looks to what was before. We've got the Six of Coins, which is, balance and stability, and it's not really an exchange. It's an answered prayer and smaller karma. And then we have Six of Swords, which is moving from one shore to the next, but this feels more like staying a route, continuing a route. This feels like a continuation, like moving on in the same way, down the same path. That's what it feels like. So I don't know, maybe you guys will interpret it differently, but right now I'm feeling at this moment, it's like, but we'll see what happens, won't we? Things change all the time. Okay, you guys, that's all I have for you. And I'm done. I'm done. I have to go digest this. I have to integrate what just happened and the timeline I just stepped on and what am I doing here? I am thanking you so much for being a part of this live. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope there was some food for thought. If you have 6666 balance and harmony, exactly, Twister Chris. Yes, exactly. That's that's it. Okay, so thank you so much. And of course, my information is in the description box below this video. So reach out. I'm more than happy to connect with you and to touch base on your potentials, opportunities, what's going to happen moving forward on your timeline coming up. And yeah, that's it. All right. Look forward to talking to you. Have an awesome day, evening, wherever you are. Bye.